I'm still not going home with you. It's Friday, so you know what that means. Let's welcome tonight's guest. She's like the show Cops, on TV since the 90s and often seen around half-naked men. Host of Kennedy Saves the World podcast, Kennedy. He creates more impressions than a Weight Watchers meeting at Raymore and Flanagan's. Actor and stand-up comedian Tyler Fisher. She's like hail, small, white, and smashes windshields. New York Times bestselling author, Fox News contributor, Cat Tube. And his underwear can be used by paragliders. New York Times bestselling author, comedian, former NWA world champion, Tyrus. All right. Before we get to some news stories, let's do this.
Greg's Leftovers.
Yeah! It's Leftovers, where I read the jokes we didn't use this week, and as always, it's my first time reading them. So if they suck, we'll stuff ground beef down Joe Mackey's pants and send him to The View. X, formerly known as Twitter, has established new rules to allow users to post X-rated adult content. Elon Musk says the decision was made by his newest content executive. New York Governor Kathy Hochul is ditching a plan for congestion pricing, which would charge drivers to enter the city's business district. She said the plan would only force New Yorkers to move, unlike her face. I feel bad, too. A newly sexually transmitted fungal infection has been detected in New York City. Hey, if the only thing you get after a visit to New York City is a fungal infection, you're doing great. Fungal. To help prevent shoplifting, workers at TJ Maxx and Marshalls are wearing police-like body cameras. Customers are furious because this increases the likelihood of someone seeing them shopping at TJ Maxx and Marshalls. A remote Amazon tribe finally connected to the internet, only to wind up hooked on porn. In unrelated news, Pornhub will soon start accepting seashells as payment.
I'm off to the beach.
The Wall Street Journal reports that people are divided over whether it's okay to call someone without texting first. Others report that they just wish someone would reach out at all. Very lonely.
Friend of the show.
Alec and Hilaria Baldwin are unveiling their new TLC reality series for 2025. With the couple, plus their 7 children, it's like a modern-day Brady Bunch. But with Alice getting shot in the face.
Oh, my God.
On the electric car front, senators are blasting the government for having 3 years and $7 billion to complete only 7 EV charging stations. The government plans to build 500,000 stations and confidently predict that at their current pace, it will be completed by the year 216,310. That's for real, by the way. Paul Krugman, a journalist for the New York Times, asked the question, should Joe Biden downplay his own success? That's like asking Joy Behar if she should downplay her looks. I'll take it. Jennifer Lopez canceled her tour, citing a desire to be with her family. Upon hearing the news, her husband, Ben Affleck, announced he's going on tour. Researchers are calling for limits on in-flight alcohol purchases to protect passengers' health. But they added passengers on Spirit are free to keep sniffing glue. Related news, after British Airways passengers were told to brace for landing, then spent hours on the tarmac, fellow passenger James Corden entertained his fellow stuck travelers. British Airways thanked Corden for getting the passengers to actually look forward to dying in a crash. A new app tracks the price of a Big Mac at every McDonald's across the United States to help users save money. It's such a great idea, the app already has its first VIP customer.
Why?
I don't know.
He's-
And finally, the world's loneliest man lives in an abandoned village on a mountain with just a horse. Yay. In fact, we have a picture of him and his animal. We don't even try to make it look like a village, you know, and he just slap the two people together.
Man.
Now to the news. Will the Dems rue the day they tried to put Trump away? Well, now that liberals weaponize the justice system against the once and future president, manipulating phony charges, a trial, and a conviction, the Pandora's box is open and Trumpers are thirsty for revenge. After all, if Democrat lawfare is to blame, then two can play at that game. Republicans from Stephen Miller to Steve Bannon and Speaker Mike Johnson are expressing the need for vengeance. And not just the fun kind where you switch Maxine Waters' wig with a family of ferrets. Mike Johnson's promising to use appropriations, legislation, and oversight to rein in the Justice Department. And of course, the left-wing media has their gender-neutral panties and a twist over it. The Washington Post, quote, Trump wants retribution. This eye for an eye justice is real and dangerous. Mother Jones, Trump's obsession with revenge, a big post-verdict danger. Daily Beast, revenge, what Trump and the GOP want most of all. Well, boo-hoo. And the brain trust that is Morning Joe is shaking in their boots.
Donald Trump and his allies are ratcheting up their calls for revenge against Democrats. He suggested Hillary Clinton be jailed in response to his guilty verdict. Donald Trump is not messing around. He promises retribution, and he will serve it up. So, with that, I mean, I'm not sure what more people need to know, given a lot of things that Donald Trump has promised have come to pass.
Great work there, Mary. Sorry to break the news, hon, but Hillary's still roaming the streets in sweat-stained pantsuits, menacing society, despite all Trump's calls for jail. Still, it's good that Mika admits a lot of Trump's promises did come to pass, like building a healthy economy and border security and world peace. Who else remembers the good old days of 2019? Not Mika. When you're married to Joe Scarborough, you try not to think of the past or the present and perhaps the future either. But the way I see it, Trump's greatest revenge will come November 5th. After that, enough with the revenge talk. Instead, focus on incentives so these losers don't try this crap again. Don't get vengeful, get mad, as in mutually assured destruction. Let them know you're just as capable as they are in proving that no one is above the law. It's not really about jailing people, it's about punishing crimes. Because like Mahatma Gandhi famously said, don't start none, won't be none. Kennedy, A, should there be payback? And B, don't you think it's interesting that they're quaking in their boots because they know they deserve it? They're the ones talking about revenge all the time.
No, it reminds me of Hamas being angry at the response that Israel had after, they inflicted the worst massacre since the Holocaust. So although a weaponized Republican administration would be capable of retribution, I think it's horrible for the country. I like what Mike Johnson is saying. I like that they would use appropriations and every other means to take stock in the Justice Department. And I want them to squeeze the Justice Department and make it smaller and more ethical. And I want them to do that with every other government agency. We talked about during Defund the Police, we're like, defund everything. That's what small-minded conservatives and libertarians wanted. So if they're using this moment to make sure that these institutions cannot do that again, I'm fine with that. I think vengeance is a horrible idea. And this administration, if there is another Trump administration, they should rise above it.
I disagree. Rising above things is overrated, Tyler. If you were Trump, how would you get back at the Dems for this sham conviction?
I mean, you know, I was going to say everything Kennedy said, word for word, but, I think he wants to wear this as a badge, right? He can twist anything and make it good, right? 34 counts, Greg. Nobody's done it, right? Nobody's done it. El Chapo couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. 22 counts, right? He did 22 counts. Al Capone, what a failure. 9 counts. Even the Zodiac Killer, right? I call him the Zodiac Loser. I'll be out in the yard. Catch me outside of the yard, Greg. I'll be out there. It's going to say Trump's yard. So I think let him have the badge. You can't beat it. You can't beat it. Let him have it. Anyways, and then what she said.
Kat, I do agree with Kennedy that you don't want to weaponize anything, but how you incentivize them when they return to power, right? It becomes this ping pong thing. And I guess what I'm saying is, do you think about, is it possible to have mutually assured destruction to end the weaponization of the Justice Department?
I mean, I think that didn't happen, and I think that's always implied. And I think, honestly, that my issue, and you brought up, Kennedy, like a lot of different branches of government, levels of government. My issue in general, with this idea of once so-and-so's there or if so-and-so's there, I don't want a system that demands so much on who is in what position. And I think the fact that what happened to Trump, I mean, I absolutely believe was weaponization of the justice system. I absolutely believe was obviously politicized. But I think that if we get my focus is on, like, how did that happen?
Right.
We should not let those positions of power to have that kind of power. Not like, oh, when I want my guy in there so he can do that to your ass. I think that's not the answer, although I understand the impulse for people who are on one of the two teams. But I really do think that the focus should not be on who's in power, but the amount of power that those positions have, because it's really, really, truly a scary thing.
It is. All right, Tyrus, what do you think? You need to do something or they're never going to stop.
I think it's funny when people who spent the last 6 years with a coup and doing everything they possibly could, stretching the law, being martyrs and lying and committing crimes to find a crime, are worried about revenge. It's not really revenge. It's like a bank robber steals his money and he's sitting in the house going, oh, if the bank comes back for this is wrong.
Yeah.
Like, they went out of their way to get him out of office. They commit, I don't know how many different fake stories or implanted stories. They had a team of Hollywood directors come in to produce the January 6th thing. Like, they went above and beyond to go after him. They had guys who just 34 counts of one crime that was expired, and they did everything they could. He never did that when he was in office. Now, he would say Hillary deserves to be locked up, but he didn't have one of his guys in the DOJ resign and go hop on to where she lives and look for a crime on her. So what they're afraid of, what Joe and them are all afraid of, is that it's not revenge, it's accountability. And that's the thing, is like, oh yeah, turn the other cheek. He gets in. You understand that the last 6 years of work is out the window.
Yeah.
So there should be an accountability buddy waiting for you, for those who spent this time. Because here's the deal: if you were doing it right, you would stand by it.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about retribution because I followed the law. I seek the truth. I got the truth. So come get me. But that's not what they're saying. They're like, hey, it's all cool if you win.
Yeah.
No, that.
They're worried. They are worried, which is why they're bringing up the R word for revenge.
Oh.
Not retarded. Damn it, Kennedy. Okay. Coming up later in the show, a stand-up performance from comedian Joe Mackey. Woo! But first, possible VPs are sweating over 45's vetting.
If you'll be in the New York area and would like tickets to see Gutfeld, go to foxnews.com/Gutfeld and click on the link to join our studio audience.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.